Okay, is this better? I can't hear any echo now. I think that was actually me making a mistake here, but hopefully you should be able to hear me now without an echo. So I had to close the first attempt of doing a live stream, but I'll talk about the same. Yeah, so bit of a technical issue there. Human error, if you will. I'll just give it a few seconds and let people join. Yes, join the chat here. You have to be a subscriber to join the chat when I do live streams here on this channel. And I'm going to give you a few examples, well, a couple of examples at least, on fake news concerning Norway. Let me just say that I'm a bit of an expert on this, actually. I am Norwegian. I am in Norway. And it is always funny how people from other continents they tell me that I'm wrong sometimes. I don't know what they're thinking. I can read Norwegian actually, and I live in Norway. I am Norwegian. So um, okay. I am sorry about the bad image quality. The internet connection is not the best. It's raining outside. That makes it a little bit difficult. But I'll do my best. So keep in mind that I am talking about Norway and fake news about Norway. But I think it's the same with every country. So if you're from, let's say, Chile, Chile, it's probably the same, and you will shake your head about these people in other countries spreading fake news about your country, or if you're in Russia or in South Africa or whatever country you live in, you are probably experiencing the same. Now, let's get straight to the point here, or to the first example. Apparently, Norway is banning petrol cars from the year 2025. Yep, the government has decided that there will be no more petrol cars here. Yeah, that's fake news. It's not true. And this one is maybe the most persistent one. It's being spread by numerous news channels and I believe YouTubers as well. I looked into this in detail, and I will explain. I'll I'll give you the short version, okay, if I can. So, the Norwegian government has said that they have as a goal, they have stated a goal that no more new cars for private use will be sold in Norway after 2025 or from 2025, I can't remember. Also, that lighter vehicles for professional use, I don't know, smaller lorries and stuff, they should also, from 2025 or yeah, same time limit, be not petrol cars, not diesel cars. They call it zero emission cars, which is not a good term because it's not entirely correct, but they're talking about hydrogen or electric power. And we're talking about new cars, and what's going to happen before 2025 is that we will most likely get a new now let's see here, it's 2023. Yeah, well, they yeah, we might have, I can't remember now when the new when the election is. But so the thing is, it's a goal. It's a stated goal, and it has not been decided by law. And that's a bit of a big difference, actually. It's a bit of a big difference. So, from my understanding here, you could have, now I'm giving you the long version, I'm sorry about that, but you could have um, some political parties getting together and saying that no, we will not approve this, and if they don't get the majority, and they won't be able to do it. But you know what? It doesn't really matter. Well, it matters, but it doesn't matter because we are moving towards that anyway in in all of Europe. The EU, now Norway is not part of the EU, but the EU has decided that after 2030, no new cars shall be sold except, well, no, I'll rephrase it. After the EU has said that after 2030, no new petrol and I believe diesel cars will be sold. And I think bigger trucks and so on for professional use will be excluded, but I will have to look into those details. If you were a car manufacturer, would you put money and resources into new models or even existing models if you knew that in a few years now you would not be able to sell them to Europe? I think not. I think not. So already we're seeing that in Norway, Volkswagen has decided that after 2024, next year, or from 2024, they will not be selling petrol cars here. And I think more car manufacturers will follow. So I believe that long before 2030, there will be no sales of new petrol cars here. That's the direction we are moving towards, and it's there's a difference here between that and trying to make it appear, because that's what these people are doing. They are trying to make it appear like the Norwegian government is this sort of tyrannical entity that has just decided that you won't be able to drive your petrol car after 2025. And that's not true. That's not true. That's a lie. It's fake news. So let's move over to another one, which is a funny one. And there's a guy called Joseph Watson or something. He has a big channel, and I lost whatever small respect I had left for him on this one. I haven't seen the video, but he's one of these guys spreading this idea that the Norwegian, listen to this, that the Norwegian government is supporting by 12 million kroner, or that's about 10 million. Now that's about 1 million pounds, English pounds, supporting a research project to find out if white paint is racist. Yeah, that would be funny if it was true, you know. So I went and read the description of this research project in Norwegian. Yeah. So okay. So yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Now these people, you see, they do this for the views. It's highly unethical, and they are spreading fake news. I don't, there's a lot of things I could have talked about on my channels that would have given me hundreds of thousands of views if I didn't care about the truth. But I do care about the truth, and if there is something that is not true, I will not say it. And if there is something that I cannot confirm, and by my double checking and so on, I will not make a video about it. Because, yeah, but anyway. So apparently there's a research project aimed at finding out if white paint is racist here in Norway, and the Norwegian government is funding this with 12 million kroner. Okay, so this research project is actually, from my understanding, quite interesting because this is in the field of art history, and it's looking at, they will be looking at the time period from 1850 moving up into the 20th century. During that time period, new technology enabled artists and so on to use a white paint. And if you go to the museum here and look at paintings from that time period, you will see something there that is quite interesting. These classical paintings, they very often they tell a story, and you can tell that the good people, and holy people, and Jesus, and priests, and educated people and nobles, they are painted with a whiter skin than the peasants and the the dirty peasants, right? So if you look back at that time period, well, of course there was racism. I mean, it was during the 20th century, they had exhibitions in Oslo, the capital of Norway. They would have people from Africa on display, and people would come and point at them and pay money as if they were some strange animals. I mean, we're talking about a different era, and this art project is looking at art history from a different era. So it is not actually that far-fetched to at least look into whether whiter paint enabled these artists to use that to tell that story about, the whiter skin, the better person, and so on. So I don't know. I would be interested to know if they find out if there is such a connection. Now, of course, there are silly research projects, and I think this one, I think maybe funding this with that amount of money, I think that's wrong. That's a different discussion altogether. But I think the question is interesting. And again, we're looking at a different time here. And when people are spreading this stupid idea that Norwegian government are paying money to find out if white paint is racist, uh, no, no, that's not what it's about. And I lose respect for people who are spreading ideas like that because, you need to do some research. When you're a YouTuber, especially if you have a large audience, it comes with responsibility. And if you're standing there like yeah, we're not allowed to swear anymore on YouTube, like an effing idiot blurting out these lies, then you shouldn't be on YouTube. You should be ashamed of yourself. You should go home, dig a hole, and sit in it until you get some sense into your head. You know. Um, so I understand that these people, they have an agenda. Yeah, it's not only the leftist crazy people who have an agenda, the right wingers, conservative Christians, and so on. They certainly have an agenda, and they certainly get just as easily triggered and emotional. Um, and it would be awesome for these people if it was true that the Norwegian government is just making petrol cars illegal from 2025. It would be awesome for these people if they could point at Norway and say that, look, they are paying money, the Norwegian taxpayers' money, to find out if white paint is racist. Look how silly those people are. Yeah, it's a lie. It's not true, you know. So I've at this point I've gotten used to hearing this lie that, oh no, Norway is being flooded by fighting age males from North Africa and so on. It's like, no, if you look at the numbers, it's not true. It's we're not continental Europe. It's not the same. It's not true. You know. Now, I'm not saying we don't have problems here, but you need to be truthful, and you need to, well, these people need to stop lying because they are lying. And there are many other examples as well. Um, and and I the lesson that we should uh, take away from this, I guess, is that we should be humble when it comes to other countries. Now I'm here in Norway, as I said, and when when I can tell you that these people are lying, they're spreading misinformation and fake news. I mean, as I said at the start of this live stream, then what news? No, sorry, what lies are we being told about other countries? Probably quite a lot. Probably quite a lot. Professor, sorry, I don't have my glasses. I hope I read it correctly. Thanks a lot for that awesome donation. Uh, eh, okay. Well, thank you for the donation. So I can give you an example of this. Many years ago, when I was a student, I met an exchange student. Or was he? Yeah, I think he was an exchange student. He was studying in Norway for a year, and he was African. And I was at a party, and we started talking. And he said that, you know, you shouldn't believe in that what you see in the news about my country. It's not like that. He said, it's it really isn't. And he was referring to, you know, Africa being portrayed as, everyone is starving and being backwards and uneducated and so on. And yeah, he was probably right there. Again, there are lots of problems in Africa, but Africa is a huge continent with many different cultures, you know. So um, let's and also you will find in the comments to this live stream people who will write that I'm wrong because they've read somewhere that it is true that Norway is banning petrol cars from 2025 and so on. It's what's the saying? It's, well, something I can't remember the saying, but it's more difficult to, if people first have started believing in a lie, it is very difficult to make them stop doing that and believe in the truth instead. Um, yeah, and as GB says, people can't actually read anymore, and I think they don't bother. They don't bother spending time doing some research. Well, actually, it's not research we're talking about here. It is gathering information and becoming informed about the matter. Um, so, and also, let me say this, you know, not everything is a conspiracy. Not everything is a conspiracy. And you see these people, they, if there's a problem, whatever it is, it's always because the elites are making it so. They like that word, the elites. I hate that word, by the way, and I try not to use it. Um, yeah, and it must be wonderful because blaming, it's so convenient, isn't it, to blame someone else if something bad happens. Must be because of those people. And you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of people being accused of being witches. And I talked about that in my live stream a couple of days ago. And belief in witchcraft is on the rise, actually. Yeah, in the world. So let's see here. Let's see here. I can't read the name there, but thanks for the donation. I don't know the currency, but 7,500 something. Well, thanks a lot. That's very kind of you. Um, Back to the woods. Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. Um, let's see. Okay. So, Mateus Diaz, thanks a lot for the donation. Parasites is a better term. Yeah, I guess so. Um, yeah. Okay. So, my message to myself, most of all, is that I will from now on be better. Even I mean, I will spend even more time um, trying to find out the real news about other countries because I am very, I am curious about the world. I've always been, and I'll, I'll put some extra effort into finding more information about different cultures and countries, and yeah, I think we all should, you know, because when they can say this about Norway, then as I said, what else? What lies are we hearing about other countries? And probably quite a lot. Um, so yeah, okay. And also, let me just say, and I've said this before, um, making blunt statements is something that we should do less, I believe. Um, Especially if it's something that you can't be 100% certain of, right? So, okay. Yeah, there are lots, yes, there are lots of fake news that has surfaced during the last few years concerning Norway. Uh, and the problem here is that most people, especially in North America, they sort of know where Norway is, but they think it's a part of the EU, and they can't understand the difference between continental Europe and Scandinavia. They can't understand the difference between, a Norwegian and a German, for instance. There are cultural differences, um, and which is a good thing. It's a good thing. But we have this joke in Norway about tourists coming here, and I'm sorry to say this, but the joke is always about American tourists. I don't know if that's fair, but that's the joke, and that they will be asking when they um, what's with their rotund bodies get off the cruise ships, and they will go and ask, "Where are the polar bears?" So, yeah. Uh, so, yeah, because, there have been people actually who have been asking, "Where are the polar bears?" They come to Oslo, the capital, and they are asking, "Where are the polar bears?" They are disappointed because there are no polar bears here. You know, yeah. Um, so, no, there. Well, technically, there are polar bears in Norway because Svalbard is a part of Norway, but not in mainland Norway. Where are the Vikings? Yes, yes. Yeah. Well, I guess you can still find Vikings here uh, if you really want to. Yeah. Um, yeah. Well, yes. You can come to Norway, and if you're lucky, you can see polar bears, but you'd have to go up to Svalbard, and they, they are wild animals, so you can't go and pet them. It's not like yeah. Where would you find Vikings? Well, we don't have Vikings in the real sense of that word anymore because that would be illegal, But we certainly have Norsemen and Norse women, uh, like connected to the old faith and so on. Uh, Certainly. Yes, Amon Amarth, that they are Swedish, and Dimmu Borgir, they are Norwegian. We're talking about bands here, well, metal bands. Um, so there's a Viking woman here. Yeah. Yes, Martina, exactly. They have to carry guns in Svalbard because of polar bears. Um, Not to shoot them, although that sadly and tragically has happened, but to fire a warning shot, and they are huge. They are huge. So yeah, well, we actually, I think there's a lot of Chinese tourists now, and uh, I'll tell you something. It's disgusting, but yeah. Um, these cruise ships, they go up the coast and into the fjords in the west of Norway, and it's been a problem that the tourists, not only the Chinese but tourists there, they go hiking, and they many of them, they just defecate. Um, they sit down, squat down, and right by the trail. So yeah, that's That's a bit of a problem, actually. And I've spoken with a friend of mine. I spoke with a friend of mine who was walking up to one of these very famous trails. It's a day trip up there, and he said, "Don't if you go there, don't step off the trail because you will then step in human waste." So yes, that's a bit disgusting. Sounds like San Francisco. If I know Johan Haig, well, I don't know him personally. We were filming together one day, uh, so got to talk with him quite a lot, and he's a very nice guy. um, so sounds like Paris. Let's see here. Veronica wants to carry guns into the ocean to deal with the great white sharks. Okay. I don't think you need that. Yeah, I'm I've been shark diving in Australia, but you know, I've never seen a great white. Um, yeah, I I I I don't think they're a problem. Um, yeah, okay, but you know, I don't know. I'm not in Australia, so yeah, okay. Yes, well, you have Grimfrost. Yeah, yeah, I was filming with them that day actually, some years ago now. um, yeah, okay. Now again, you know, take everything with a pinch of salt, and I used to, when it comes to, if something sounds extreme, it might not be true. Sometimes it is, but you know, go and try to figure out if you can get this confirmed. Yeah, I'll give one example actually. Um, this would be an awesome topic for a video. You know, I would have gotten hundreds of thousands of views. I don't know, maybe. Um, did you know that the Chinese army are issuing helmets with explosives in them, so that at the push of a button, their generals or the government or something can just um, kill their soldiers if they get captured or you know something like that. It's fake news. Now, well, it could be true, but there is, I mean, there is no proof, and there are videos about this. It's not new news. It has resurfaced, and now it's making its rounds around the internet and YouTube. There is no substance to that claim. So, of course, I can't make a video about that. The Chinese government, they don't have any morals. They don't have any respect for human life. Um, I mean, but so they could do some, you know, they could do that, you know, but there is no evidence. There is no evidence. There are just claims about this. So it's in the category of fake news. Now, I would take that back if someone could provide proof. just someone who claims it is not proof, by the way. It you need proof, not just a claim, not just someone that thinks that he saw this or someone who thinks it's true. That's not proof, okay? Bean Counter and Stacker says, had not heard that about helmets. Truthfully, nothing would surprise me about the CCP. Yes, I agree. I agree. And you know what? They are probably doing things that are even worse right now. Um, but to make a claim on a YouTube channel, for instance, you actually you need some substance and proof behind that claim. Yeah. Okay. Um, Now, the problem, of course, with China or the Chinese government is that they would never reveal something like that. And you know, I always get skeptical when, and this is a problem in the among prepper YouTubers. They always seem to have, they call it intel, like they're military people. Yeah, they have intel about something that is scary and threatening, and you have to listen to them, and you have to educate your no, not educate, they wouldn't say that. You have to listen to them because they have intel. um, if if their claims were true, I mean, what do you think would happen if someone blurted out governmental secrets to some YouTuber? What do you think the for instance the American government or the American military, what do you think they would have done? Like, no, no. I'm sorry. I'm just a little bit skeptical about those claims. Exclusive um, information about matters of the state will normally not be shared with some odd YouTuber. That's not how it works, and certainly not without money changing hands, if you know what I mean. So, you know, I'm yeah, but there's a lot of that. There is a lot of that, and it's all about getting the views. So, yeah. Jason M. Smith says, quote, my sources inside Russia, end of quote. Yes. Yeah. Someone knows someone in Russia. Yeah, so do I. um, it's like I would just say, actually, when it comes to Russia, I wouldn't name them. I would. I usually don't do that because most people they don't want to be named. But actually, when it comes to Russia, they can face consequences if they are talking about the war in the Ukraine and so on. They were not allowed to use the word war even. But just because you know someone in Russia doesn't mean that you have exclusive intel, you know. So yeah, I wish people would be a little bit less, yeah, a little bit more humble, if you know what I mean. So, and you know what? Journalism is really hard. Journalism takes a lot of time. There are journalists out there. We're not talking Sky News Australia and CNN and rubbish like that. We're talking proper journalists. Do you know how much time they spend finding information, digging, traveling, quite a lot. They can spend months on one case. And yeah, um, just wanted to say that, there are actually proper journalists out there. And we're not talking about the talking heads in the mainstream news channels. We're not talking about YouTubers who have exclusive on the ground footage from the Ukraine. No, it's not talking about those. Talking about real professionals here. Yeah. So, YJ Overlander says, I really enjoyed your video about paganism. Well, thanks a lot for that. Thanks a lot. Yeah, well, that was interesting and very needed. That video was needed. That was on the main channel, and you call it an early spring cleaning, if you will. And it was important for me. It was important to me to talk about my belief system, a little bit about history, and of course, I knew that these easily triggered people would get upset and start making a mess like little children in the comment section. And they did. And I've kicked out a couple of hundred people off the main channel. And I've had around 1,000 people unsubscribe. And that's okay. I'm glad. I'm glad they did. It's it has become a strain with certain Christian people, not all Christian people, but certain Christian people who clog up the comment section with Bible quotes and end time prophecies and rubbish like that. And it became it was needed. It was very needed. It was very needed. So yeah, let's see here. And they yeah, they send letters and they misbehave and they do all sorts of stupid stuff. So that was very needed. I'll probably do it again many times, and I will be talking more about the true religion of this part of the world, the ancient religion of this part of the world, the belief system. I don't like the word religion either. But anyway, now, okay. Yeah, Wolf Odin, thanks a lot. We don't like people who call other people nasty names here. If you do that, you will be kicked out. So, yeah, it's like I was very very glad to see that several people wrote in the comments on that video that, for instance, one guy said wrote that he was a Catholic, and he thanked me for the video because he found it very interesting. And another guy wrote that he wrote that he was Christian, and he thanked me for the video, and we could be neighbors, no problem. You know, that's how it should be. That's how it should be. Uh, but then uh, lots of people wrote nasty stuff, nasty stuff, and it's easy to see how these Abrahamic religions have been easy to apply to justify wars. It's very easy to see. Um, yeah. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, it's interesting. Catholicism. Uh, it kind of it reminds me of a. It's a bit of a far stretch, a little bit, but maybe it's similar to some pagan religions, maybe. Uh, but again, it's very different, of course. But I find it interesting to look at these things with an open mind and uh, and to learn. Yeah. Uh, no, no, I didn't say nasty stuff from Catholics. No, Christians in general. Um, and there was some, yeah. So, no, no, Christians in general made a mess there, and but that's okay. That's okay. We just kick them out of the channel. Or what I usually do is that I just hide them, so that they will just be like standing in an empty room screaming like a crazy person. And YouTube has made it so that with a click you can do that. And that's what I normally do. So they will see the videos, but they'll just they won't be interacting with anyone. um, yeah, yeah. Jason says that he saw the video. You did not insult them. They are petty if they found it offensive. Yes, but they are petty. These people. I'm not, again not talking about all Christian people. Just talking about those who can't behave. You know. And very often, what I'm seeing in these comments is that there's a lack of understanding and education there. For instance, there was some guy who said that there is no such thing as pagan beliefs because everything is new from 50 years ago and up until today. Like, what? So, yeah, I'll be walking my dogs when it stops raining. Hopefully, it stops raining later today. And we walk past some of the ancient carvings in the rocks. And it's easy to see that the story being told there is very spiritual and some people might call it religious. It's telling a story about the origins of people here. I believe, or some people say it's about someone leaving this area by boat. Um, so yeah, well, a little bit older than 50 years ago. Yeah, these ancient carvings. Yeah, they're quite old. Quite old. um, Neafreas Nefri says, "Do you think we should forget and forgive what the proponents of a foreign religion did and still are doing to our people, minds, and holy groves. Well, I would say we should never forget and we should not forgive because, but we should move on. I mean, because forgiveness, my readings and research into what people usually refer to as åsatru or fornside, someone called it, ancient customs or pagan beliefs, whatever you want to call it. My research into that, well, it's not rocket science, and most people agree on this one. Forgiveness is not a thing there. That's a Christian thing. The concept of forgiveness. Some people might disagree, but I'm I'm ready to defend my stance on that one. So no, we do not forgive, but we can move on, but we should never forget. If we forget, this will repeat itself. Carrie is asking, do you feel ancient? Well, especially in the mornings. Tom is saying, I'd like to hear more about Bronze Age Norwegians. Yes, you know what? It's immensely fascinating, um, especially since I live in an area with so many sites, Bronze Age sites, stone circles, grave mounds, carvings, and um, yeah, yeah, absolutely. I am not an expert on the Bronze Age, but I plan to study. Um, Absolutely. No, I'm not close to Bergen or Bergen. Uh, that's in the west, and I'm in the uh, southeast, close to the Swedish border. I've been to Bergen, Bergen several times. NJ Grant says you should talk about Vikings and how Vikings live. Yes, and also when it comes to my novels and translation into English, I'm doing what I can there. I'm. I'll keep you up to date on that. Oh yeah, Toby says that he's been to Stonehenge, Kalanish, quite a few French dolmen areas. I have too, and I well, Stonehenge was fantastic, of course. I actually think the Kalanish standing stones was more more magical, and that's maybe because I was there. Nobody was there when I was there, so it was yeah, that was special, very special. Uh, TRX5 says not forgiving can tear you apart, eat you up. No, no, I don't forgive. I'm fine with that. I sleep like a baby. Um, yeah, well, that's what you're writing there is a very Christian thing. And that's fine if that's what you think. If that's good for you, then, wonderful. It doesn't mean it's the right thing for everyone. Wolf Odin has an important question here. Is it true Swedish women are all tall blondes? uh, well, I think, well, yeah, Swedish women are nice. Yeah, lots of blondes. I think maybe there are more blondes in Sweden than in Norway. Um, yeah, I think so. Okay. G, the heathen hellbilly, writes, not forgiving is not the same as harboring destructive resentments. Exactly. Yes, yes, absolutely. And not one says Frisia has the most blondes. We're talking about blonde women here now. Yep. um, Colleen says, I just colored my hair. Super light blonde today. Yeah. Well, it's quite interesting when you look at hair color actually, because you can see which other ethnic groups people had contact with. Now I have dark hair, as you have noticed maybe, uh, and and you will find darker hair along the coast typically, um, and that could be because people along the coast were interacting more with peoples from across the sea, right? So I I myself I have my father did one of those DNA tests, and we're very typical Norwegian. We're mostly Scandinavian, but there's a Gaelic part as well, which is quite normal. Uh, UK, you know, and and when you go to well, in some parts of Sweden, I think there are more blondes, especially if you move inland from the coast. So um, it's interesting, and this has been going on. Well, people found wives and husbands, across oceans, because crossing an ocean is much easier than traveling in the interior of a country. Um, and there's oh, yeah, there is an area there's an area in the very north of Norway where people have it's Portuguese DNA, lots of Portuguese DNA, and it can be traced back to the time when because of the fishing industry a long time ago, and they were moving up there and found wives there, I guess, and you can see it in their hair color. The Norsemen, they traveled into the Mediterranean, they traveled to North Africa, they traveled to North America. Um, Nobody knows how far south they went. um, yeah, not one says lots of Portuguese and Spanish moved around North Europe. Absolutely. Uh, yes. Yeah, when I say we don't know, it is because not all travels were recorded, right? So we don't know how far south they moved. We know that they went to the Azores, Miklagar. They went. I think that they personally, I think that they went much further south than we have previously thought. But I can't prove that. You would need an archaeological find or something like that to prove it. Um, if I traveled on boat on high sea, well, I've sailed quite a lot. I've sailed from Africa to Norway. Yes, Luke and Mom, exactly. They set foot on the moon, and they're actually first. Yeah, the people who went there. Yes, when the Americans came to the moon, they said, "How did that Viking ship get there?" And this is true. hidden files, FBI files, and I'll make a video about that. And it's being hidden. Yeah, but I have intel. I have exclusive intel for you on that one. That's a joke. That's a joke. Yeah. Yes. Who was the Muslim scholar who wrote about the Vikings? No. Oh, I'm so bad with names. Yeah, I know which one you're referring to. Uh, yeah, but maybe someone here. You know the famous description where he's describing the Northmen. What's his name again? But actually, we don't know if he was talking about Scandinavian or people from up the Baltic, the rivers in the Baltic. Um, could have been Slavic people. We don't know exactly. um, yeah, it's right there at the tip of my tongue. Um, yeah, okay. A quick internet search should give you the answer. Ibn. No, 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 it's gone. It's gone. Okay, but um, I will end this live stream now. This was a wonderful chat. Wonderful. Um, Ibn Fadlan? Ibn, yeah. I'll look it up. I'll look it up now. I have to look it up. So, yeah, have a wonderful day. And, well, we have been talking for an hour. Awesome. Awesome. Yep. Have a wonderful day, and we'll talk soon. Bye.